You want the facts? We want to share them with you. Together, we'll boldly unpack the deeper truths inside the real estate industry's most relevant issues. This is Getting Real with Rob. Here's your host, Rob Namfeld.
Welcome to Getting Real with Rob, where today we have our special guest, Dan Puvak, who's operations partner for True Homes in architecture and estimating. Dan, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for making the time to come in today. As is the custom, We'll start with the lightning round, get to know you a little bit.
Let's do it.
Quick 5 questions. So if you could have had a career in anything else other than home building, what would it have been?
Wow. Well, I've been thinking about this recently. One of my good friends, he's getting ready to retire, and we've been talking about second career, right? Like, what do you do after retirement? Mm-hmm. And obviously that leads into, well, what have you done when you were younger? And if I would have answered this question earlier, it would have been, I wanted to be a chemistry teacher, right?
I've never heard that before.
And it's the weirdest thing. So when it comes down to why, it's because I had a really, really great teacher.
Okay.
I had somebody in my life that was inspiring, somebody that was, passionate about what they did. And as I've gotten older and I've started working with different groups like the NAHB student chapters as a competition judge, I realized I really liked that. Yeah. I didn't like chemistry. Nobody likes chemistry, but I really liked working with kids. Okay. And I think what my second career will be, and what if I had to do it all over again, it probably would have been in education.
Okay, great. We need folks like that.
Yeah,
so absolutely.
100%.
Oh, I love that answer. Okay. Next up, what's a skill that you've mastered, what is a skill you just mastered that others would never know that you struggled with?
One of the things that I really struggled with when I was, and it's going to sound really stupid, but when you
there are no stupid answers.
No, I know. But when you grow up and you're kind of in architecture and design, the thing that everybody notices about somebody that's really good at architecture and design is their handwriting. I struggle. That was my worst class. It was always a struggle to get my handwriting perfect. Everything was great. I could draw really well, color, all of the artistry illustrations were great. I just can't write my name. It's just awful.
Is it you go too fast?
I don't know what it is.
Is it in your head now?
My penmanship is now it's just in my head, and it's just my penmanship is terrible. And I'm like, oh gosh. And everyone's like, wait, you're in design and architecture. And I'm like,
what happened?
Not a doctor, but here I am.
That's okay. That's okay. We all have our weaknesses. Thank you for being honest about it. Okay. If you could create your own reality show, what would it be about?
Home building. You have
not chemistry?
Idea. Oh my gosh, no way. Home building is home building is one of those things where either you love it or you hate it. And as I bring interns in every year, we talk about just the passion of home building. Yeah. If you have passion to do this, do it. Yeah. It doesn't matter what your discipline is. Home building is a passion. And I would love for people to know what it takes to build a house, to develop a piece of property, all of the little touch points that go along the way. I think it's a remarkable business that touches so many people and so many lives. And at the end of the day, not a whole lot of people know about it. It's not something the curriculum's not in school. It's not something that people have a real good sense of. Mm-hmm. And if they do, it's always an adjacent. Oh, my dad was a builder. My uncle's a builder. That's not the same thing. It's very different. And I'd love for people to get under the hood with me.
I think that's great. And that's right. I mean, it's something that impacts everybody.
Yeah.
Like where you live. It's kind of a big deal.
That's right.
Okay. What's your favorite place to think and explore in Charlotte?
Man.
Didn't mean to get so deep.
Yeah, no. I mean, thinking and split, I've been.
Where do you get these questions from?
I know. I'm like, God, jeez Louise. I don't spend enough time in the city. I'm always outside. I'm always in communities. I'm always kind of in the periphery. Mm-hmm. I really need to spend more time downtown. And every time I do, I have such a great time. Yeah. I really do. I kind of vacation in my own city at some point, because I've been here for 12 years. Yeah. And I love it. And I just never spend enough time. I'm always outside. I'm always in these different suburbs, and I just don't spend enough time in Charlotte.
Okay, good. All right. If you could create and design a brand new planet, what would it look like? What would it be?
Is Waterworld 2 dated of a reference? I don't know. Is that?
I get it, but I'm 54, so.
Yeah, where's Kevin Costner? No, I mean, when we vacation, obviously we love the water, we love the beach, and things like that. And I love being on the ocean. Yeah. There's just something so calming about just those long views, those beautiful sunsets.
Sure.
And being on the water is just great.
And there's some mystery to it too, right? Because you don't know what's underneath you.
Absolutely.
It's kind of cool, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that too. All right, good answers. Well, good warm up. Let's continue to get to know Dan a little bid more. You've occupied a number of roles in the industry. You started your career, 2003?
2003.
Okay. How'd you get here?
I got here via trade. One of my very first jobs was with a trade with a home builder. I was in the cabinet industry selling cabinets.
Okay.
And I started into that space. And in 2003 was this huge boom in the industry. And then all of a sudden there were just more and more people coming on. They're like, hey, we're expanding, we're growing. And I started a career at a public home builder, and I just loved it. I was like, man, this is awesome. And so, and then through that passion, there became more opportunity, and you would go in, and in that kind of the space, in that early 2000 space, there was just a lot of acquisitions going on. Builders were buying builders, and they were combining, and then that just led to more and more opportunity. So I would go from Charleston to Lexington to Myrtle Beach, and I would just hold these different roles. And as each one of these different roles became available, I just raised my hand. I'm like, let's go figure this out. And I was able to build a skill set through that journey, not only building and closing homes and developing land and warranty, and I just started going down the path. Except for sales, never did sales.
Okay,
I think that's probably for the best.
Okay, so we've had a ton of, obviously you got started in the industry, then we had a little bit of a huge downturn actually, and we've been building back ever since, and then we had a jump, between the COVID years. Now the new stat is that about 157 people are moving, not just to the city, but to the region every day.
Yeah.
So that includes, various counties around us, even a couple in South Carolina. Between the fluidity of the changes with the UDO and the fact that 2040 plan really maybe is not quite as forward thinking as some of us had hoped, although we're working on that. There's more. There's more people that want and need houses, but then there's plenty of folks that are here that don't want any more folks,
right?
To be moving into the area. How do we balance all of these different interests?
Well, I think we have to recognize that it's real, right? We see it in our morning commutes, classroom sizes for kids. It lines at the grocery store. People are moving here, and it's not going away. We don't want it to go away, right? And we have to invite people and welcome them into our cities. Although the UDO, I think, is very flexible. It's not a clear and defined path. It's not hey, this is what we're going to do. And sitting on my side of the business, we love executable plans, whether it's a development, whether it's a building a townhome, or whether you're building a single family home. We love clear and executable plans. And the UDO is great because it is flexible. It allows for different types of homes, but also it can be very confusing. And what we need to do is eliminate the friction points that we have. Really, the approvals, the processes, the planning, the permitting, those have just gotten so much longer.
So is it less the language and more the actual execution, the on the ground kind of stuff?
Right.
Okay.
Just thinking of the timelines, we may look at a piece of property or find something that we really like, and we're like, okay, well, we're good here today. And then we'll work through the engineering, and then we'll work through some different ideas. And then we get to a little bit further down, and then all of a sudden the goalposts have moved a little bit, or there's a new option, or something has changed. That causes a bunch of rework, and then it's second guessing, and then the market changes. And then it's just, the game of home building is just based on speed. The faster you can deliver something, whether it's a home, a development, the faster you can do it, the better everybody is. And it's going to meet the demand. It just feels like although the UDO it's innovative, it's flexible, it's award winning, it's still not a clear path of execution for a home builder.
Okay. When we talk about the speed of delivering, Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I know there's a number of factors in terms of obviously getting people into the home when the expectation is that they're in their home. There's, there's the inspection process. There's a lot of factors. There's carrying costs for folks that are borrowing money to do this kind of stuff. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, when I say speed, right, we're not trying to rush. We're not trying to diminish quality. We're not trying to do anything like that. We're really just trying to remove friction. How do we make the approval, the inspection processes faster? How do we increase or decrease our turn times in permitting? How do we make sure that that these ripples that we have don't percolate down and incur additional costs that we don't have? We want to deliver affordable homes. We want to deliver homes that are met for the market. We just have to do it in an expedited way. Another way to look at that is if you can deliver consistency, whether it's through speed or eliminate the friction. Our goal, and this is one of our business models, is we work on an expert day platform. We want to deliver the same amount of jobs every day. And so if you're a plumber, you want to deliver, I need to know I get to rough a house, a True Homes house, or any house every day. That's what I want to do. That's consistency. That's speed. That's security. And if you're going up and down, I've got 10 starts today, no starts tomorrow, 30 starts the next day. That's volatility. Then I have enough crews, then I don't have enough crews. That creates chaos in the business. And that creates that creates pricing challenges because you're going to have demands. It's no different than Uber, right? Uber during peak time, you're going to spend too much money in that same Uber ride versus a consistent time. Yeah. It's just like traffic. The more it can flow consistently, the better we all are. And when you have these bottlenecks, whether it's rush hour, morning commute, starts coming in at the end of the month or not at the end of the month, that just causes a whole lot of friction in our side. And some of that's, part of the approval process.
Right. I think certainty again is a big theme, right?
100%.
Yeah. Just being able to deliver and get through. Let's talk about, we touched on it briefly, but the push and pull between folks who are here and folks that want to be here. What would you say is the biggest myth in housing when it comes to like dealing with entitlement issues and at the municipal level, and then also dealing with kind of those often few but very loud voices in terms of opposition? Right.
I mean, the biggest myth is that those loud voices represent everybody. Yeah. There's a silent majority in all of this that where we need people to speak into these roles, to speak into these communities. And oftentimes the only people that are speaking up are the loud ones. And those are the ones that everybody gravitates towards. And then we're trying to appease. The data is very strong. We use a lot of data to determine homes we should build, areas, density, calculations for sidewalks and all this other stuff. We use a lot of data to prove that this is the right thing. We oftentimes change our perception based off of just a few people at a hearing. And it'd be beneficial for us to look at this as what's better for the community versus better for the small loud voices.
And you feel like you I don't know, you compromise in a way in doing that?
It feels like we do. Yeah. It feels like we do. We've been working on a few projects in the city, and we come in with some really what we think are beautiful ideas, ways to enhance the community, provide high value. And then there's always this curveball of, well, what are you doing for affordability? Well, we're delivering homes to the market. That's what we're doing. Right. That's how you have affordability. You don't limit supply. You increase supply. That's how affordability shows up. And if we don't increase supply and we're always stuck in this, analysis and let's go back, let's go revisit. Well, those delays cause the homes not to show up on time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, let's shift a little bit to kind of moving forward and some of the new technologies that you're exploring or, trying to see what works and what doesn't work. Artificial intelligence has been in the news a lot lately. Yep. What do you see as potential applications for some of the things that you're doing, and how would that change the industry? And
you think about home building, construction, just technology is just not there. I mean, commercial construction, there's been more of an adoption of these technologies. Residential, we just don't have it yet. There's been less innovation. There's been more innovation in agriculture than there's been in construction in the last 50 years.
What do you think accounts for that?
There's a reluctance.
Okay.
I think it's, we want to do it the way we've always done it type of mentality.
I've heard that before.
And we just don't want to change. I mean, it's just, and so AI has given us an opportunity. Now, what AI has done, right, and we're kind of in that disappointment curve right now where everyone's talking about AI and how do we use AI, and no one's really done it yet. But what's interesting about the way AI, or at least my perspective, is how AI is showing up is that it's exposed how bad the data of a home is, right? A blueprint, a data model of a home, it just really isn't existing. So you can only use AI so much if you don't have complete data. So what I've been working on is how do we use more building information models in the residential space? If you use building information models and then layer AI on top of it, the amount of efficiencies that can be gained, the overall cost of designing and developing a home can go down dramatically. And those are hidden costs that we have in the industry that nobody sees, nobody pays for directly. Okay. And so if you can use AI to your advantage to data mine out, whether it's purchase orders, whether it's material usage, even doing energy use calculations or solar or wind or something like that, AI can help you do that. The other side of AI that's a little dangerous right now is there is a thought that AI is going to replace something. It's going to replace the design. I'm going to tell AI, or I get this all the time, like, oh, we'll just tell AI to design me a 2,500 square foot house or a 200 lot community, and it's going to do it. Well, yeah, it's going to do it. It's going to be pretty ugly, but it's going to do it.
It's not going to be good,
right.
But
so there's it was just recently at a conference and we were talking about this. And one of the things that AI is really good at is doing an evaluation on a certain thing, right? So if there's a certain performance gain that I need to go do, and I need to run a bunch of different analysis.
So it could be like energy efficiency gain or water usage or something.
Wonderful.
Okay.
It will run all of that and can look at all the different metrics and say, well, if you go up or down or turn these dials, right, how can I completely optimize this? That's perfect. But what we need to have, and this is where a lot of the seminars were based off, is you have to step in as a professional and say, where are the right dials to move up and down, even though you're going to be off that perfect line? What can you deliver that's going to be attractive and unique and beautiful for your community? And a lot of times the perfect scenario isn't that. What you need to do is then step in, and that's where AI can help us. AI can help us get us in that direction as a thought partner. And then eventually we can then twist and turn those dials to get us exactly what we need for that community.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool space right now. I'm very excited to be a part of it. And so I think this is revolutionary. The sad part is not a whole lot of people are going to know unless you're kind of in that space. Okay. But it will affect us over time.
Do you think, and speaking of time, is this kind of like a 1 year sort of revolution? Is this over the next 5 years, decade?
I really believe it's probably more of an 18-month kind of revolution. So I think we're going to start to see it. Well, and if you can look at like the European model when it comes to BIM and design, they've used BIM in their technologies for a long time. They don't necessarily have to say a scale of housing that we have here. They're doing a lot more on the commercial, and they're looking at more long-term ownership propositions, right? So they have to maintain and upfit their commercial buildings for a long, long time. And one thing that's really great is having a building information model that can help do that. So if in a completed building where all of the pipes are and the HVAC, and you can use data and structures to evaluate how the performance in the airflow in the room is working based off of time of day. You can do all of that. And on an operations side, you can tweak all of that and ultimately improve the overall quality of the building. How do you take that model and translate it to the US and put it in a residential space? That's what I think the pure benefit a lot of this is, because we can design a home, we can design a community that's purely optimized and ultimately performs very, very well and meets all these new government standards for energy,
which continue to evolve,
increase.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think that's done to the cost of housing in the last 20, 25 years? I mean,
it's gone up.
Is that one of the top 5 reasons, or is it sort of that combined with other things, would you say? It's
one of the top 5 reasons. Okay. I mean, if you look at the biggest components in your home, the ones that cost the most, all of them are going to be around the energy. Okay. Whether it's HVAC, insulation, the materials that we used, being more carbon neutral, those things cost money.
Okay.
The other side of that is, the carry cost on land. I mean, developing something that takes 2 to 3 years to bring it to the market. Well, you're having to option that for a long time, and you just spend a lot more money on the front end.
Right.
NAHB had I wouldn't say a slide. They had a worksheet that came out not too long ago, and they said that there's upwards of $100,000 in entitlement costs in every home.
Right.
That just show up because of all of the money needed to bear that home.
Right.
To bring it to the market.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. We touched on this a little bit when we were talking earlier, but a question of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
You've had a chance to travel to other cities, both in this country as well as around the world. And in Charlotte, we just have a fondness for our trees, which is great.
We love the trees.
We have a great canopy, and there's goals and such, but there's also a trade-off when it comes to wider sidewalks, costs of housing, wide roads, things like that. What have you seen in other cities that maybe we could consider bringing to here in terms of a better priority process?
Yeah.
Or priority making process.
Yeah. I think it all comes down to what you value and what's the priority. I spent some time in Nashville this week, and it was a great experience. And, and it's one of those cities we started walking around and we realized there's just not a whole lot of tree canopy, but you have the trade-off you could tell was made with wider sidewalks, right? You have people walking 2-3 abreast down the sidewalks and go into bars and restaurants and having just an opportunity to be a part of the city. It was a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And then you go to the other side of that and you go to the European, some of the cities like Barcelona and London where, sidewalks are pretty narrow. They're old Gothic streets that, necessarily were built for a horse cart. They were not necessarily built for cars. So, there are benefits and drawbacks to each. And what I would say is sometimes we value the wrong thing. We're valuing trees more than people. We're valuing canopies versus pedestrian access. And we want our cities to be livable. We want them to be walkable. We want to organically be a part of our cities. And sometimes, walking down a crowded street that's filled with, trees and trash cans and all this other stuff. And just because we made so many compromises that you end up having to walk single file is just not worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So Dan, you're part of the Employment, Labor, and Immigration Subcommittee, which is part of the Construction Safety and Health Committee, full committee for NAHB. That's the National Association of Home Builders. Tell us a little bit about what that committee and that subcommittee do and your role in that.
Yeah, we really focus on labor and workforce issues that are directly related to the construction industry. The mission for this is to ensure fair and lawful practical working conditions while addressing reliable workforce for housing.
Okay.
Right? And so when that's kind of the mission statement. That's the big thing. Really, it comes down to a couple of things. One is fair labor or fair wage, right? So we want to make sure that, not everywhere in the country is unionized,
right.
But for those that are not, we want to make sure that there are fair wages in place. We also want to, kind of work on workforce access and immigration policy. So one of the things we've been championing is, how do we create a construction visa?
Okay.
Like, how do we create a program that allows, we have an agricultural visa, we have a H-1B visa. How do we create the H-1C visa? How do we create that's going to allow, people that are here to stay here? How do we allow them to have a decent paying job, a well-paying job? How do we memorialize that? And how do we get that to a point where, nobody has scared to go to work? We want to be able to bring this into permanency. It's a good thing that we started with the agricultural visa. We just think that there's an opportunity for that in the construction industry.
And for folks, you're talking primarily about skilled trades, like
100%.
Folks that have, experience in doing things that, are difficult to learn.
Yes,
over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we can teach, right? So there is a huge investment that's in high schools,
sure.
and secondary education. There's carpentry. You go out in Midwest and there's a ton of opportunities in these associate degree programs for these HVAC, electricians, all of that. That's a huge thing.
Right.
You can invest there, but there's not enough people in that pipeline. we really need to bring additional people in that pipeline to keep up with the demand of home building.
And that's both for the private and the public side as well, right? Because when we talk about the kind of the bottlenecks in place we get gummed up, is in some cases there's just not enough inspectors or folks that are reviewing plans to get through the process in time either, right?
There's not. No, it's plan reviews, it's inspections, it's just trades. I mean, if you look at the average framing crew, just a few years ago, framing crew was 6 people.
Right.
If you can get 5 today, that's great. And obviously we need to figure out how to, create an environment where we can use 4 framers. That's how you gain efficiency.
Okay.
Right. So the lower labor cost means make the environment better. It also means, bringing up to speed our technology. And it also means that, increasing the skills.
Okay. Excellent. Dan, is there anything, else that we didn't cover today that you want to? I think one last thing I guess I would leave is, what do you think is the biggest single roadblock, policy wise, to kind of getting what we need to do to meet the housing need? Yeah. And I know that's a huge question. Yeah. And maybe there's 3 things, but right. what do you see as kind of those, we use the term bottleneck again?
Yeah. The biggest bottleneck right now I see is just a paralysis. It's a fear of backlash. It's a fear of making a mistake. Oftentimes I'll be sitting around and we'll be working with city planners and they're like, well, we like this today, but there's an election coming up, so we'll figure out what'll change tomorrow. And to me, that's not a good thing. You're not making decisions for the community based off of who's in office.
You're leading with fear.
You're leading with, well, if I don't really like it today, it could change tomorrow. So that means you're making a lot of short-term decisions. You need to make a lot more long-term decisions, especially when it comes to, these projects that take years to develop.
Agreed.
And a lot of times we're making decisions, policies based off sentiment, not data. Mm-hmm. We're looking at these as, well, this is what we feel, this is what people like today, but we're not looking at the hard data. We're not looking at who's moving into our communities. We're not looking at how our communities are growing and what is driving that. What are the jobs that are coming in? Why are people moving here? I mean, we just don't oftentimes know that. We just have a feeling and we go based off of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that makes it tough to to have some long-term certainty if we're doing that that way, right? Does.
Yeah. So it's a lot of long-term planning with short-term decisions. That's what it is.
Okay. That's a good word to put it. We need the opposite of that, right?
Yeah, we definitely need that. And it just bringing in the focus of what we're trying to do. And I think sometimes we forget that.
Yeah. Well, Dan, anything that you'd hope that we covered that we didn't?
No, I think I checked all my boxes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really enjoyed having you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hope to have you back again sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Getting Real with Rob. This podcast is produced by the Real Estate and Building Industry Coalition in Charlotte, North Carolina. Learn more about us at rebic.com. That's REBIC.com. We'll talk to you next time.